way to reduce waste and cost is to repurpose and reuse ingredients which might have previously been thrown away. Now we'll hear from the team about what is being repurposed and how. A big part of what you do here at Booker is repurposing ingredients. Why do you do that? Do you feel that it does give you a big cost saving?
Oh, definitely. I think the way that we started approaching ingredients right now is to, first of all, not use one ingredient in one recipe. Cross-usage is something extremely important. Bringing a different part of that ingredient to life is extremely important. There's a lot of work that happens in the kitchen in terms of obviously showing the techniques that are already used in the kitchen to maximize the utilization of every single ingredient. And then there are obviously new ways and new things that Chef Mateus is looking at within ingredients. So we're looking at skins, we're looking at obviously the stems and using the whole ingredient without chopping the ends or the tops. There's a lot of work that happens there, and it's at the end of the day, it all goes back in the food cost. So if we're able to reduce the food cost by 1%, from making these changes, then that's a huge gain for us in the restaurant.
And so what was the first step that you took when you decided to start repurposing ingredients?
I think it's extremely important in the beginning to understand and assess our waste. So how much are we really producing? So what we did is we felt that consolidating that effort with one person is the logical thing to do. So we assigned a waste officer position within the restaurant, and her role was to make sure that every production area, whether it's kitchen or bar or floor, is separating properly. Obviously, in the middle of service, people tend to do a rush job, so they will end up putting different items in the incorrect bins. So her role is to do that first and foremost, and then make sure that before every item leaves the restaurant, weight is taken and a measurement of the item is taken. That is all recorded onto a sheet, and then at the end of the month, it's consolidated into a basic Excel sheet, and that's when the discussion starts. So we reach out to the different production areas again. So we reach out to the kitchen, to the floor, to the bar, and show them the amount of waste that they've been producing, and try to understand ways of reducing that. So if it's organic waste, then if there is a way to reintroduce these items back on the menus, being obviously creative and rethinking of what is considered waste. There's a lot of ideas, there's a lot of techniques in the kitchen and behind the bar, of course, to reuse these items, whether it's in oleosaccharides or making syrups or powders or dehydrated skins that go back as garnish within the drinks. So that's really where it all starts.
And it's also your suppliers, right?
Oh, absolutely. It has also allowed us to have new conversations with our suppliers, to first of all ask them to deliver the items not in single-use plastic bags or cardboard boxes, but maybe put them in crates and then dump the product with us and leave without that. With our laundry supplier, which used to wrap every single item individually, so why not have them all transported into a reusable bag? On the floor, there's been obviously tremendous work done with some of the items that are coming from suppliers, like the crates that usually beverages are placed in. So we use that in different areas in the restaurant as decorative items. We give them away to guests to plant and use them as planters. There's a lot of craftsmanship and handiwork that goes into creating items like trivettes that go underneath our paella pans. Those are all made with corks. I can think of also some of the smart things that the bar team has been doing, where they used empty passion fruit shells to create coasters for drinks. So there's a lot of things, a lot of items that the team is able to come up with. The moment that you put them in that box, the moment that you put them into that creative zone where you say, this is the mandate, you have been producing this much waste and you're assigned to reduce that, find creative ways to reintegrate them into the recipes or really repurpose them into a way that we can use on the floor or whatever area in the restaurant.
And what do you repurpose in the kitchen? Like, are there specific ingredients that you work with? So you work with tomatoes, right?
Yeah, that's a major one. We use a lot of tomatoes also because of our cuisine. You know, we're Mediterranean and European, so like it's a very common product to use. And for example, we have like a bread course where there's like a tomato concasse, and so we have to clean the entire tomato from the skin to the seeds. Also with another dessert course as well, we use tomatoes, so it's also like the same process without like actually wasting it. We just dehydrate that overnight, make it into a powder, and then we repurpose that more like a seasoning aspect to one of our courses. So we bring it back to the tomato concasse so it even increase the flavor. So it's like another dimension that will add to the tomato. And also then we have a cheese course. So we have like a goat cheese with labneh that's infused. So we add also the tomato powder to that, so it also elevates the dish a little bit more. So it's all like these tiny things that we incorporate. Yeah, we don't always tell the guests, sometimes not necessary, because just increase like the flavor. But like, yeah, if I would tell you would not notice. But of course, like with some dishes, we tell the guests. So for example, we use a lot of milk, just in restaurants in general. Like we use a lot of milk, like a lot of fresh milk for cappuccinos and all that for the bar. And sometimes they come to close to expiry date. Sometimes we don't sell that much coffees. And then what we start doing, we just start making cheese from it. So it started with ricotta, and when it comes close to expiry, we all know it's still like good for several days, but because regulations, rules, we have to actually throw it. But then we start basically making cheese from it, like a ricotta. So basically extend the shelf life of the milk into a ricotta, and we call it actually ricotta from revived milk.
It's using terms like revived, kind of a way of making it more palatable to your guests.
Oh, they love it. Yeah. They love it, absolutely. Yeah, no, there's no negative feedback. It's always positive, and the guests even gets inspired as well. Yeah. And then maybe they tell something from their background, what their mom used to do sometimes, It's like, no, it's very well received. Yeah, because no one really likes wastage, so.
Only use garnishes in drinks or food that can be consumed, so no unnecessary or inedible garnishes. Plan what is required for each dish or drink and the projected quantity to be sold so as to reduce any unnecessary waste. Boca also prioritize ingredients which can be used across both the kitchen and the bar. They also demand that their suppliers reduce unnecessary waste. So this can be through the upcycling of items that takes shape in using wine boxes as crates to be used as decoration around the restaurant, reusing bottles for batching and fermentation. Corks are widely used as material for various applications, including trivets and handbag stands. And organic materials can also be put to work. In the case of passion fruit, the peels are ground to make a paste that, when dried, is made into special drinks coasters. Finally, bear in mind that it's a constant evolution. As you learn about more conscious practices, you can continue to implement them.